Objective 6, we're going to write algebraic expressions from word phrases. And so what I kind of refer this to is like translating. How many of you have had Spanish so far this year? Have you gotten to a point where you've actually like translated an entire sentence? Where do you start at? Like, you start at the beginning and you translate that word means this, and this word means this, and the next word means this, and then at the end you have, you know, translated from a Spanish sentence to an English sentence. Well, that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to give you an English word phrase, and I'm going to ask you to translate it into an algebraic expression, which is like a different language. I mean, it's going from words to math. Okay, so same concept. Okay, so you can make this. You don't have to do columns. You can make boxes if you want to. You can highlight them. You can, you know, outline them or however you want to. But let's just talk about some words. What are some words that mean addition? Sum. What else? Plus. Adding, or how about I say added to? They'll say something like a number added to 3. And, okay, keep going. Greater than. How about more than? How about subtraction? Difference. The difference of a number and 3. Very good. What else? Less than. And I'll say fewer than. Okay. Fewer than. Subtracted by or subtracted from. How about less? Or minus. Number minus 3. Now I'm going to highlight really quickly and talk about this. I'm going to highlight the words less than and fewer than. Why do I specify those? It does tell it what you're doing, but there's something special about those in particular. So I told you a minute ago, normally when you're translating, you start at the beginning, the left side, and you go piece by piece by piece. So I'm going to tell you, you're going to work everything from left to right, except when you see the words less than or fewer than. Tell me this. 8 less than 10. Somebody tell me what 8 less than 10 is. 2. Oh, well, see, you know what it means. But normally, if we were translating, we'd start at the left, right? Does that mean 8 minus 10? No, that actually means you go backwards, and it's 10 minus 8. So when you see the words less than or fewer than, you are going to work from right to left. And so I would star them or highlight them or something, because that's important. And I would say this, what other words go along with that as well? More than and greater than. But here's the thing. I'm not too particular on more than or greater than. Why don't I really care? Yes, properly, because you can do it either way. What property tells us we can do it either way? Commutative. Commutative property says. But again, so with the addition, so properly, if it says greater than or more than, properly you would go right to left. You'd go backwards. You with me? But whether you say 3 plus 4 or 4 plus 3, I'd still count it right, because either way you're going to get 7 in the end. But when you do less than and fewer than, is it okay if you write those backwards? No. If you write those the wrong way, like if you said 8 minus 10, that would be wrong, because technically that's equal to negative 2. You have to go backwards on these, okay? I'm also going to highlight, I'm going to put this one in a different color, the word less. Is the word less the same thing as less than? No. So when I say 8 less 10, what would that mean? That would mean -2. That would mean 8 minus 10. So when you see the word less, some people think, oh, less, go backwards. But that's only when you see less than. It's the than words. You with me? When you see less, you're going to go like normal, left to right. So all these are, this is left, right, 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 but it's when you see the less than, fewer than, greater than, or more than, technically you go backwards, right to left. Okay? How about multiplication? Product times, very good, multiplied by, there's a short little word that means multiply. Anybody know what that is? 2 letters. Think percentages. How do you say, like, give me a problem with a percentage? Find 50% of 100, right? So what does that imply for you to do? You take 0.5 and times it by 100. So of means multiply as well. Okay? How about division? Quotient. I'm glad y'all put these sum, difference, product, quotient, because they're all like in the same family. You with me on that? The sum of this and this, the difference of this and this, the product of this and this, and the quotient of this and this. Just one means add, one means subtract, one means multiply, one means divide. But they're all kind of in the same family. You use them in the same way. Quotient divided by. That's probably about all you'll see with division. Okay, so this just gives you a list of words in case you don't know what they go by. So there are a couple keys to remember. The first one we've talked about, but I just want you to get it down in your notes. It says, work everything from left to right, except for when you see the words less than or fewer than. Okay, and again, why didn't I include greater than or more than? Because you can do it either way, okay? But you have to go the correct way when you see the words less than or fewer than, which would be from right to left. The other key to remember, and we're going to talk about this now, and then I'll just refresh your memory on it when we actually get to it. But when you see the words sum, difference, product, and quotient, you want to put parentheses around those. Sum, difference, product, quotient. What I will tell you is this, is there's all kinds of rules with, you know how like they say the English language is one of the most difficult languages because there's all kinds of exceptions to the rules. It's kind of like this too. So I just told you that when you see the sum, the product, the difference, the quotient, that you need parentheses. Well, I'm going to tell you that's only when there's more stuff around it. Does that make sense? So if I just simply say the sum of a number in 3, how would you say that? The sum of a number in 3. N plus 3. Is there anything else with it, or is it by itself? If it's by itself, do I need the parentheses? No. The only time you need to hold it together, the n plus 3, is if I would say something like 2 times the sum of a number in 3 minus 5. You'd have to put the 2 on the outside, hold the sum of n and 3 together. You with me? Because then that means what would you actually do with the 2? You distribute it. Yeah, you'd have to distribute it, and then you'd have to do some other stuff. So you only have to do this whole parenthesis thing when you have other stuff with it. Does that make sense? If that's all it is, then, and it's by itself, then you don't necessarily have to have the parentheses. Okay? All right. So let's look at some examples. Sometimes I give you the variable to use, and sometimes you get to pick your own variable. Like if you want to use C for cool Kobe, you can do that. If you want to use an H for happy Hannah, you can use an H. You with me? I don't care what variable you use. Okay? So in this case, I do give you the variable to use. So how would I write 7 more than n? Which one? Either way, which one's proper? This is one of those than words, so go backwards. Start at the right side, n plus 7 is backwards. Now, if you said 7 plus n, I'd count it right. It's the same thing because it's addition, and what property tells us we can? Commutative says it don't matter. N plus 7, 7 plus n, same thing. Okay? The difference of n and 7. Now, this one does matter. Okay? Difference means what? Subtract. So how would I write the difference of n and 7? That's not your bell. That's the normal bell. 7, or is it 7 minus n or n minus 7? N minus 7. Okay. And does everybody know on example 2 why I had to start with the n? Because which direction do we go? Left to right. Does that make sense? Always work left to right unless you see the words less than or fewer than. Okay. How about example 3? The product of 7 and n. 7 times n. Now the question is, do you do 7n? Do you do 7 dot n? Or do you do 7 parentheses n? Which way do I like the best? I actually like, I agree with both. I like 7 in the best when you're using a variable. The only time I'd want to do parentheses is if I want to like plug a number in. If I want to plug a number in like 7 times 9, I would say 7 parentheses 9. Does that make sense? So if it's a variable, just 7 in. That's the best way. Okay. How about the quotient of a number in 7? Perfect. N divided by 7, my question is how do you write it? What's the best way? N divided by 7. You can use the division sign, and I will count it correct, but I have a better way. I heard the word fraction. Does that make sense? So in algebra, we like to say, if I'm going to divide a number by 7, I'm going to take that number. And what number do I pick? Again, does it tell me what number to pick? what variable to use? It doesn't. So when it says a number, you don't know what number, so just choose one. Okay, what variable you want to use? N? Okay. Y'all are so fun. Let's use n. Okay, n divided by 7. N over 7 is the best way. Okay, does that make sense? How about 2 times the number plus 5? 2n plus 5. Any questions on that? How about 7 less than 3 times the number? Anybody see anything screaming at them? Less than! What's less than scream at us? What's it telling us? Go backwards. So start over here. 3 times the number. 3n minus 7. Does that make sense to start at the right and work back to the front? Yep. The sum of twice a number and 31. Now, here's what I'll tell you. When you have the sum of, the difference of, the product of, the quotient of this and this, where does, we know sum means add, but where does the add sign go? If it says the sum of this and this, you would say the sum of this plus this. So where does the plus go? Where the and is. So how do I say twice the number and 31? 2n plus 31. My question is, do I need parentheses around it? Why not? It's by itself. You know, the sum of, that's all it's talking about. It's not saying anything in front of the sum of. It's not saying 2 times the sum of. Okay? All right, 2 more. 8 more than a number. Properly, the best way would be to say it n plus 8 backwards, right? But if you said 8 plus n, it'd be okay because it's addition. Same thing. Okay? Last one. This says the product of 1/2 of a number and 1/3 of the same number. What's product mean? Times. And where did I tell you the times sign is going to go? Where the and is. So we're going to put a times right there where the and is. So let's break it apart into 1/2 of a number and, that's not your bell, 1/3 of the same number. So how do I say 1/2 of a number? 1/2 is 1/2 of times a number times 1/3 of n. Okay? All right, I'm finished. We'll pick up here Monday.